Can it take months for a medical expert to decide whether or not you have a valid medical malpractice case? You want to know the answer? Come join me for a moment as I share with you some great information. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney, and the answer is yes, it can. Now, why would it take months and months for a medical expert to go ahead and actually review your case? Well, the answer is it shouldn't. But then again, it probably will. Now, that makes absolutely no sense, right? But let me explain. So now you believe that your doctor was careless and caused you significant harm and injury. You believe your doctor screwed up, or you fell through the cracks, and now because of that, you now suffered significant harm and injury. And now you find the best attorney you possibly can to determine whether or not you actually have a valid case. So the very first thing that your attorney will do after meeting with you for an extended period of time is to get your medical records. Your attorney is going to actually ask you to sign a bunch of permission slips, which will then allow him to get copies of all of your medical records from every single doctor you've seen in the recent couple of years before this event occurred. Now, it could be hospital records, it could be many different doctors' office records. And now, what happens then? Your attorney has to send that permission slip along with a cover letter to each and every office that he's now requesting records from. That entire process is pretty quick. But now, what happens when the doctor's offices get those records? Well, guess what? It sits on a big pile, and whoever's assigned to deal with copying medical records gets to it when they get to it. Now, once they determine how many pages there are to copy, now they send off a letter to your attorney that says, hey, Mr. Oginski, I just want to let you know there are 300 pages that have to be copied. Please send us a check for this amount of money for copying costs. So now when we get that letter, we go ahead and write them a check and we send it to them. And once they get the check, now they go ahead and make copies and then they go ahead and send it back. This entire give and take process, sending them a permission slip, now they get it, now they tell us how many pages, now they say send us a check. Guess what? This process takes weeks and weeks. That's where the delay comes in. So for weeks and weeks after your first meeting with your attorney, guess what? You will think that nothing is going on in your case. You may actually think that your lawyer has forgotten about you and your case. But nothing could be further from the truth. The reality is that once your attorney tells you that they're going to go ahead and investigate, this is what happens behind the scenes. You don't hear about exactly all the little details and the minutia of what actually goes into gathering all of your medical records because it's not really important for you, right? That's not what you're interested in. You just want to know the ultimate conclusion. Do you have a good case? Yes or no? That's all you want to know. But behind the scenes, it can take weeks and sometimes months to gather all of your medical records. So now, once your attorney has actually obtained all of your medical records, the very first thing that he's going to do is go through each and every page of your medical record. And sometimes that could be hundreds or even thousands of pages. And that will take a period of time to evaluate. And now, after your attorney has spent time going through all of your medical records, now he has to send those medical records out to a qualified, most likely a board-certified medical expert in the same specialty as the doctor whom you intend on suing. And now, once he identifies a doctor willing to review these records, and now they agree on a fee arrangement on how much the doctor will be paid to review these records, now your attorney has to copy all of those records. He then has to mail those records over to the doctor, and now the doctor actually gets to work reviewing and scouring your entire medical chart. That takes significant amounts of time. And again, you'll be sitting at home wondering, I don't understand, I haven't heard from my lawyer. He hasn't called me, he hasn't emailed me, he hasn't told me anything. I don't know what's going on. Now months have gone by and you've heard nothing from your lawyer. And again, you think your lawyer has forgotten about you, that he's not doing anything on your case. But again, nothing could be further from the truth. So all these little steps have gone on in your case where the attorney has requested medical records. They've now paid for copies of those records. They've now obtained them. The attorney has now gone through every single page of the records and is now totally familiar with the details of what went on. And now he's sent off those records to a medical expert to now determine, number one, was your doctor careless? Did he violate from the basic standards of medical care? And number two, if he did, was that carelessness a cause of your injury? And were your injuries significant and permanent? Only if this medical expert confirms all three of those things Will it turn out that you have a valid basis for a case that will allow you to go forward with a lawsuit here in New York? So you're wondering, why does it take so many months to determine whether or not you have a valid case? Well, now you know the answer, right? All these little steps go on. They take weeks and weeks and months before you have a definitive answer as to whether or not you actually have a valid case. So why do I share this terrific information with you? I share it with you to give you an insight and an understanding of exactly what goes on in these types of cases here in New York. Now, I do recognize you're watching this video because in all likelihood you're thinking, you know what? Maybe your doctor did something wrong to cause you harm and injury, and you have not yet started a lawsuit and have questions that need to be answered. Well, what I suggest you do is to pick up the phone and call me if your matter happened here in New York and you have not yet started a case. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. Well, that's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a fantastic day.